Welcome to another episode of Heated Conversations. I appreciate that you took your time to be able to check out this episode. I'm really excited about today's episode because we have current student athlete. Oh, we have Mia Towns, who's a grad student currently at the University of Illinois. Super excited that she's joined the podcast. Now, remember to hit that subscribe button, to hit a like, leave a comment, leave any questions you may have for Mia. She's going to also check this out. So, thank you again for tuning in. Let's tune into this episode. Welcome, Mia. Mia, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so I have two questions for you before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes, okay?
Mhm.
So first is if you could go see anybody live in concert, dead or alive, who would you go see and who would you take with you?
Uh, I think, okay, this might sound really weird, but I was a Hannah Montana lover when I was little. And I still sometimes like watch Hannah Montana episodes if I'm like bored or like whatever. So I would say like back when she was like 12, like that Hannah Montana. And I would probably take my mom, I think. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so what songs did you really like?
I loved I don't know, of course I liked like her first album, like the song where it's like everybody makes mistakes, everybody has those days. Like those songs are really good. But when she got older, she got into like her like I don't know, I guess she was like probably like 13, 14, 15, I don't know, something like that. And Ordinary Girl was like one of my favorite songs by her for a while. Love That Never Lets Go is a good one too. But those are like kind of sad, but they're really good though.
Now, are you a fan of Miley Cyrus, of her current music and who she is as Miley Cyrus and not Hannah Montana?
I personally still do really love Miley Cyrus. I think a lot of people kind of like stir up like a bad vibe from her, which I genuinely think if like people took the time to like get to know her, I don't think it'd be like that. But I think she's a great person and now like what she's doing is pretty cool. So
Very cool. All right, so my second question is if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you like to go? And you could choose any means of transportation, even if it doesn't make sense. What means of transportation would you take?
even if it's like not really feasible currently.
Yeah, just be
would
creative, use your imagination.
I would take like a probably like a see-through plane or something so like you could like see like what's below you. I honestly don't know where. I've never really been like a travel gal. Like I've never really had my eyes on traveling very much. So I don't know, maybe like Canada or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
So you're not afraid of heights at all, huh?
I actually am not a fan of heights. I like if we go like cliff diving or something like that, I will probably just stand there. But I would like to see if it's like I'm not about to fall. You know what I mean?
So if you were, because you had mentioned you wanted to be in a see-through airplane, so that wouldn't freak you out?
I think it would, but if I was in my mind, like if I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be safe because even though it's see-through, like it's still a plane, you know? And I'm
Right.
not like riding on planes,
Yeah,
but
that's cool. Yeah, I like to lead off with those just because they're fun and also that people get to know you a little bit, kind of see how your mind works, things that you may like, and try to connect with you in a different way. And I'm sure they're going to connect with you throughout this conversation in different aspects as we go on. First, I want to start off with where are you from? Um, like what part of the region, what state are you from, and specifically what city?
I'm from the Austin area, specifically Pflugerville, Region 3. I am from the club gym. Like I went to a couple club gyms, but my most recent club gym was Crenshaw Athletic Club. Shout out the Crenshawties, love them. But yeah,
Yes, Mr. Adam Miller.
yes,
Yeah.
love
Very,
him.
very cool. Can you kind of talk about your like growing up? When did gymnastics really start for you? And can you talk about your last time in club being at Crenshaw's and your experience being there specifically? And yeah,
So my club experience growing up, I honestly don't remember too much. I just know that um the switch that I made from, I was originally from Platinum Gymnastics. That was like where I grew up the majority of my club career. I switched from Platinum to Crenshaw's my freshman year, I think my eighth grade or like freshman year of high school slash middle school. So I think that was like the most like definite like change because I feel like that was when like I met Adam for the first time. It was the first time I like genuinely had a team of girls who were level 10, level 9. Like at Platinum, it was kind of just I was kind of by myself. There wasn't really too much of a team. There was a lot of like little baby levels, and then there's like one level 7, one level 9-ish, 8, and then there was me. So it was a kind of a lot of like lone wolf like assignments. Like I was just by myself. Coaches were fine, but I think whenever I moved to Crenshaw's, it was like, oh my gosh, wait, you guys are level 10 too? Like, wait, I'm a level 10. So I think that was when I genuinely started to be like, oh wait, like we're kind of good. Like can I go to college? Like, wait, I didn't realize I could do that. And I think Adam did a, awesome job, like getting me in, like tuned in with the girls. He excelled my gymnastics like way quicker than I'd ever imagined. Like my transition from level 9 to my first year, level 10 was honestly insane. So yeah, I think it was really cool just to, I guess, like see that growth and development from myself. And my last memory of like Crenshaw's is not great. My senior year, I ruptured my Achilles on a double A at a mock meet that we had. So that whole year was rough for me, and I ended up having like 5 surgeries on it that year, um, leading into college. So yeah, that was not as fun, but the years leading or the years prior were fun.
Yeah. And can you talk about like how many year level 10 were you? And when I guess that will kind of tell us when you became a level 10, but you can also say that. But can you also talk about how many hours you trained and when you trained throughout the day?
Yeah, so I think my first year level 10 was in 6th grade. I think I was 11. So yeah, I think that's 6th grade. And I competed for 4 years. Technically, my 5th year I didn't really compete, just because I was hurt, or it might have been 6. I don't know, either 5 or 6 years. And my workload was a little bit lower than I feel like the normal. At Crenshaw's that we only train about like 20 hours a week. So I feel like that was really different. So whenever we were in practice, it was very efficient, very like, okay, conditioning, warm up, like do your events, and then do another round of conditioning, and then you're out. So I feel like that was very beneficial, even though it was kind of short. Because I know like a lot of club gyms now, like, you're in there for 5 hours, like right after school, like girls are tired, drained, whatever. And I feel like it's kind of just, no, 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 not as efficient as it could be. So yeah, we were really in and out.
Yeah. And what things did you really enjoy about your club experiences? Your coaches, your teammates, the environment, just being a gymnast in general. Can you kind of talk about the things that you enjoyed about club gymnastics overall?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about club was the competitive like team. I don't know if it makes sense, but my first year that I arrived at Crenshaw's, it was at least like 5 other level 10s. And I swear, it was like every month somebody learned a new skill, and then everybody was like, I gotta learn it, I gotta learn it, I gotta learn it. So it was just like that kind of like competitive, but it was never like, oh my gosh, like she got that skill and I did it. Like it was never like bratty. It was never, like, oh, poor me, like pitting myself or anything like that. It was just like everybody was like on attack mode 24/7. And that was something that I really, really liked. And just being able to, hang out with the girls all the time. Like we would always go to our lake houses or, just have sleepovers. I think at first we kind of, didn't really hit it off, but I mean, we're teenagers and, everyone's going to be a brat at that age. But I think as soon as we like got over those humps, like it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And what things did you really like about your coaches?
So I had Adam and Helen whenever I was at Crenshaw's, and I think they were just people who really cared for the athlete themselves rather than like what they can do. There was never like moments where I didn't feel like I was cared for, like genuinely cared for. I was just, another medal or another, title to the company or whatever. So I think that they did a really good job of individually teaching and coaching rather than just trying to stuff everybody in one standard and trying to make them fit. So yeah, that was like a couple of things that I really enjoyed about those two.
Yeah. And was there anything that you didn't like about the club gymnastics, being a club gymnast, and you can even say things about your coaches or teammates. Again, you can play this however you like, but I think there's things that we do like and we don't like that can be common things that a lot of gymnasts kind of deal with. So,
So the only thing I like vividly remember like having so many conversations with my parents and my mom or my parents and Adam and Helen just about wanting to be able to live that like double life, like having a social life and still being able to be like a on the way to be a, D1 gymnast. So I think I always like fought the battle with Adam about that like all the time. Like I would always come in early on Friday so I can go to the football games and sometimes miss Saturdays and he would be like really mad and I'd be like, I just want to hang out with my friends. So I think that was something that I did struggle with, but um and I feel like I did, always like kind of bring up like, oh, is this something that I really want to do? Like, do I kind of just want to, hang with my friends or do whatever? But like, obviously, in hindsight now, it's like, girl, no, you needed to be in the gym.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's like a teenager thing, though. I don't really know if that's like a something that was like I disliked. I think that was just in the moment. I think gym was kind of just like, oh, like dang, I want to, be able to go to the mall with my friends after school, but I have practice for 4 hours and then I have to go home and do homework and I can't even FaceTime my friends either because I have an hour to do my homework and eat and go to bed because I have to get up early in the morning to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just that constant battle.
Yeah. And you're talking about, how gymnastics is a consuming life, right? And we're only doing 20 hours at Crenshaw's as a
Yeah.
level 10, right? And
Yeah.
and sometimes that's less hours in other gyms. You probably have teammates right now who probably did more hours than that. And can you kind of talk about things that you enjoy doing when you're not in the gym? You kind of mentioned them a little bit. But what are some of your passions? And even talk about your family and how, close knit or not close knit you are with your family.
So I think back in high school, I was like super into fashion. Like I always was thrifting. I would end school at like 2:30 and then I would thrift until 3 o'clock to like 3:45. And then we had practice starting at like 4:30 or 5. So I would always find like those like times to like go thrift and go shopping and go look at these new shoes that just came out. So I've always like had like a little niche for that. I'm actually like in the process of, trying to build my own brand and all those types of things. So that's been really fun to kind of, I don't know. I feel like at first it was kind of just like, oh, it's like a little, thing like I'm into currently, but it stayed. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Able to continue to develop that. I've also recently been picking up on coaching. I've been coaching 3 years now at a club gym around here in the Champaign area, Champaign Gymnastics Academy. Shout out the Pumas, love you guys. But that's actually been something that I've been really serious about, like having a career in after college. So yeah, but that's just like really new.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. Because sharing those things, again, being a gymnastics coach and seeing the life that they live and not being a gymnast myself, I don't have your perspective. I was an athlete in different things, but and the other sports didn't require the amount of time in the gym as a gymnastics athlete, a gymnast would. And also when you're doing it after school, right, that's a little bit more challenging. You're trying to find those times to do stuff, and then when it's season, it's competition time, and it feels like you're gone, all the time. And the weekends that you may not be competing, you may want to kind of recover and all those types of things. So I think it's cool to kind of share about those things, and and talk about that you can have a life too when you're a gymnast.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of talking about you building your brand. So how do you feel about NIL stuff being an opportunity now?
I think it's an amazing opportunity. I feel like I didn't do everything I could to, I guess, like invest in like the opportunities that are out there for me. I think I struggle with, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me sometimes because I feel like, businesses or accounts will, kind of DM you and be like, hey, can you post this on your story? I'll give you $100, da da da, like whatever. And to me, it's just like not worth it to build like fake connections. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's not like a genuine, like I feel like there are opportunities where it's like very genuine, very like we're gonna work close knit and we're gonna have like invest in each other. But I do feel like a lot of opportunities that are, I guess, for like low revenue sports or like, like being here at Illinois, like nobody is, coming up to gymnasts asking them if they want to have a jersey. Might steal it. They're gonna go straight to football or straight to basketball. So I feel like we sometimes get like the leftovers, and the leftovers are not as like as intentional I would like for them to be. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does for sure. For sure. Well, kind of going back on the process of you being a gymnast, can you probably were in the time of being recruited and committed before the new rules where you had to wait until after the your sophomore year, the summer going into your junior year. So can you kind of talk about your recruiting process, things that you enjoyed, things you may not have enjoyed with that, and then um, and how you committed ultimately to Illinois, and then we'll kind of talk about Illinois a little bit more.
yeah. So I am 100% on board with the new recruiting age, like junior year. Like I think that's a totally perfect. I feel like it just genuinely sets you up for success. I feel like when I was getting recruited, it was like you can be in fifth grade being recruited to UCLA. You know what I mean? Like if you had the skills, like you could be, just plopped in, just inputted in. And I think that creates like such a distorted perspective on recruiting. And for me, honestly, looking back, I had no idea what I was doing. Like not one. Like of course, like my parents would, try to tell me, and these college coaches, like I think I was in eighth grade by the time I was like getting recruited. And at that point, it was just kind of like, oh, college. Like what? Like that's like 5 years away. Like I don't really I have no idea what that is. I don't really know what I'm looking for. And of course, my parents were like, oh, you should look for this and this. And, I think those were all good things, but I don't think I genuinely had an understanding of what I was like stepping into and what I wanted for myself. Cause I was like, I don't even know, like I was 13 years old. Like I didn't know what I wanted. I
Right.
didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what, if I wanted to be out of state, if I didn't, what kind of, degree I was wanting to seek, or, what I wanted from my college coaches. So I think that whole process is kind of like a blur for me because I genuinely didn't really know what I was doing. But I think now turned out great. I was first recruited. I don't know. I'm sure there was plenty of schools that, were recruiting, but I committed to Utah State the summer of my eighth grade year. That was with Natalie and Josh. Um,
And Andy.
yes, and Andy. And I was
Yeah.
with them and I committed to them. I thought that I was first in love with the campus. I thought Utah State's campus is absolutely gorgeous, very stunning. Their facilities were great. They had like nice little, fueling stations, and their gym was, brand new. So all those things were, things that I loved. And of course I love Josh, I love Natalie, and they're still my coaches now. So that's cool. Um, and I think I just really resonated with both of them. I had Jackie, I don't know if you know who Jackie Turpak is. She was like one of my really close friends back then. She still is. And we were just like, oh, and like we would always be talking like Natalie's so cool. And Josh, like, I feel like they're so like, invested in us and really want us to do great. And I think that though that type of time was, kind of just like what I needed to be like, okay, I'm in all yours, coach. So then from there, we kind of just went, I don't know, kind of just went forward. And then after that, I guess it was my junior year when Natalie called me and she's like, hey, okay, well, actually, I remember Jackie and I went to summer camp at Utah State and Josh was leaving and we had no idea. So after like the whole camp was over, Josh sat us both down because I think we were the only recruits that were not already there or not already like on campus, like the new incoming, like I guess not really freshmen because we weren't freshmen. But he was like, hey, like just let you guys know, like we're leaving. And we were like, wait, what? Are you serious? So that was kind of hard for us. I think we really enjoyed Josh. Like he's a great guy, very good at coaching, very calm, cool, and collected coach, which is very comforting in a gym that's can be like crazy and chaotic. But we still had Natalie, so I was like, okay, whatever, we're good. And then Natalie leaves. She ends up taking a job here at Illinois, and she calls me and she's like, hey, by the way, I'm like, dude, what? What do you mean you're leaving? Why is everyone leaving? Like, what? So that happened. And at first I was kind of just like, okay, like maybe I can see like what Utah State, has to offer me. And and then they announced that their new head coach is Amy. And I had talked to Amy a couple of times. I wasn't like too familiar with her. So we were just talking and she was like, I understand if, you're not like 100% in right now, just because we have never talked. We had never had a conversation. I 100% like understand. Like I would love to get to know you, yada, yada, all those types of things. And at the same time, Natalie was like, hey, we have a spot for you. And I'm like, wait, what? What's going on? But I think at that point, I really was on board with the mentality that Natalie had. And we had grown like really close over those past like 4 years in between my 8th grade year and my junior year. So I kind of just stuck to my gut and I was like, I think I'm gonna, just take the next leap for me. And of course, like moving to a Big Ten school, like that was kind of a big deal for me. So I was like, all right, I'm all in. And I, of course I had the conversation with Amy and she was completely understanding. So I appreciate her for that. And then, yeah, now I'm here.
That's cool. Okay, so besides obviously having Natalie go, right, and a coach that you're familiar with who had recruited you at Utah State, what other reasons you decided that Illinois was the choice? Because I'm sure you could have either stuck with Utah State, but you could have probably looked into other universities because I'm sure Utah State wasn't your only option when you were starting your process. And so why didn't you look into some of those other ones?
I think once Natalie had offered me, I took, going to, I think me and my family had gone to a Big Ten meet. I think Illinois hosted Big Tens and of the year that Natalie offered me a spot here. And so my family was like, I think we should go because I hadn't had a official visit or I don't know what they're called now. Like just, I guess they don't even do like regular visits anymore. I guess it's only official visits, but we
Uh,
had,
Unofficial visits?
yeah, unofficial. I don't know why I was blanking on
It's
that.
all good.
So we had gone to the Big Tens that Illinois hosted, and I just genuinely in love, like I was in love with the atmosphere that the team had. I think that was the year that they got second at Big Tens. So of course, like everyone's on fire, all the girls are all hyped up. I got a chance to talk to them once they, came to me and Natalie had talked to them about having a recruit here. And I think it's very calm here. I feel like calm's like a weird word, but like in the city that we're in, there's no like distractions. There's no like chaotic craziness. Like we're not in a big city. We're not, I think we have like cornfields around us. Like it's very quiet. It's very calm. I just feel like intentional being here has been very intentional for me. And I wanted to leave. I didn't want to stay in, obviously, there's no really gymnastics in Texas. So I wanted to get out Um, I didn't necessarily want to be like 1,500 miles away, but it's just where I landed.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the location is something that I really stuck to. And just the team, like all the vibes that they gave me whenever they first got here was honestly just amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And can you talk about as well, like your first year, being a freshman and finally being on campus? What were your feelings like, both, you know, getting onto the campus for academics and those classes and be like, whoa, this is not much of a change, or whoa, this is quite the change, as well as joining the gymnastics team? Were you kind of, you know, excited about it, or were you kind of worried, or you felt like, what? Hey, I have set my mindset that I'm going to come here to do, what I love and do my job, and that's what I'm going to do from day one? Or did it take some time to acclimate to being a college student athlete?
Yeah. So this my freshman year was kind of a blur for me too. Um, so I had ruptured my Achilles my senior year in high school. I had a surgery in December, in January, in April, in July, and in November. So of that whole year, so during this time, a lot of the doctors at the university were obviously like we were in communication about what the protocol is going to be once I get to school. Like, am I going to be able to train? Am I going to be able to you know do whatever, basically, like go lift or go to just straight rehab or all those types of things. And at first the doctors were like, I don't like telling, like communicating with coach, we're not 100% sure that she's going to be good whenever she's here. And that, of course got back to me and I'm like, what? Like, no, I'm fine. Like I've, and I feel like the surgeries that I had nothing to do with my Achilles, but everything to do with the foreign material that they put in my body. So the whole year, my Achilles was fine. It was just the infections that I had due to, all the screws and all the fiber wires and all those types of things. So I don't really know if it was a misunderstanding or what, but I mean, obviously I'm not a doctor, so, but I do know my body and I do know like what I was capable of. So I feel like there was kind of that like friction of like, oh, I'm supposed to be here, but you're telling me that I can't be here and you're telling me that I can't do this, but I'm at home and I'm good. Like I'm practicing, like I'm at Crenshaw's, Adam's helping me, I'm doing this. So I actually had stayed back that summer. All the other incoming freshmen came in, I think June, and I stayed back until August at home. So I didn't have that like transitional summer period where you got used to where everything is and you got used to the team and you got used to the coaches and how everything ran, how practices went, where do you go for lift and where your classes are, because they were taking online classes at that time too. So I unfortunately didn't get to have that period of just, okay, let me figure this out before I really get into it. So I feel like I was kind of just like thrown out the nest whenever I got here. I remember it being so awkward whenever I first met my class. I think we were at like our dining hall or something, and they just like put me in a room, and I was like, oh, okay, this is my room. And then all the incoming freshmen from my obviously like my class just come in and I'm like, oh, hi. And I just remember like standing there like being like, oh, this is so weird because everyone has connections already and I don't even know these people's names. And the boys team came in and I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel completely lost right now, like so lost. So I feel like that was a moment where I was like, man, like this is gonna be rough. Like this is gonna be a rough year. But of course, I had all the time to, from preseason or from August to preseason to get attuned to things. So ended up being okay. Um, Preseason, I remember being very rough. Obviously, I was still coming back from all the surgeries that I had, and then I ended up in November having another surgery. So that was not fun, but I do remember before having my fifth surgery that I was, trying to do beam and, did a little bit of floor, was doing vault and all those types of things. And then I just had another obstacle coming my way. Um, But I do remember after that, I was really like, dude, like I have like a month to get my crap together because I'm like, I need to compete this year. Like I have to compete this year. So I think that was when I was like on like X Games, like just trying to
Right.
just trying to figure stuff out.
Right.
But I did end up competing like the first meet of the season. So that was honestly a crazy moment in my life where I was like, dang, like I really did I really had all those setbacks in a year and I still managed to, somehow get here, like regardless if it was me surviving or, thriving, like I got here and that means something to me. So I think that was something that I held on to that entire year to get me through. And of course I was able to, continue to be healthy that whole entire year after that. So it had really just been like a, fun game afterwards,
Yeah.
being healthy. Yeah.
Right. And can you also talk about, because when you go through hard times, it's easier if you have a support system, and it's a lot harder if you feel like you're on your own doing this, right? Can you kind of talk about what support systems did you have in that time? Even though you might have felt like you weren't part of the team and building those up, who was the ones that kind of helped walk alongside you emotionally, or even just physically were there with you, or even just mentally kind of help encourage you?
Yeah. Of course, my parents are like, we're very, very close. So they were 100%, by me, every step of the way. But I genuinely think Natalie was somebody who I went to for a lot of my doubts and, lack of confidence and all these types of things. And I don't think she ever once like told me, hey, like, it is what like surgery, it's, it's rough, like we might not compete. Like I don't think I ever heard any type of like, I don't know, like kind of like removal of like the whole entire, not the whole entire season, but just competing in general. So I really think that she instilled confidence in me regardless of what my future could have looked like or what my now looked like. So I think, yeah, definitely her and my parents were two, I think, like monstrous people in my life during that moment that were just like, no, keep going. You're doing great. Like we're not going to tell you, we're not going to criticize you. We're just going to continue to encourage you regardless of how you feel or what you think you can't do or you can do. Like we're just going to be here and we're going to support you. So yeah, I think those are my rocks right there.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, what do you enjoy about the school, like academically? Do you like the class sizes? Is it a big university? Is it a pretty medium size or small university? And do you feel like it was a place that you were really able to excel, which we obviously kind of talked a little bit about how you're a grad student, and so you're still there. Can you kind of talk about your academic experience at Illinois?
Yeah, I think my freshman year, I really struggled trying to learn to the learning styles that they have here at the university. University of Illinois is a very prestigious school, very smart. I am smart, but I think I struggle. Sometimes I have like, I'm very much of a visual learner, and a lot of the classes here are kind of just like, here's what we're doing, this is what we're doing, and you just got to learn it type of thing. It's very like quick, very I don't know, I guess just like quick, and it's just not my style personally. So I think I really struggled my freshman year trying to find a learning style for me. And of course I had like tutors and an academic counselor who really helped me figure out what my learning style is, how I can learn in a lecture hall with a million people in one room, like without being annoying, like trying to have all my supplies and all my things. So it was really a struggle for me at first, but I think once I understood how to get adapted to the learning style, I began to excel. So yeah, I mean, I think looking into college, just taking everything with an open mind your freshman year, like you're gonna struggle, it's gonna be hard. Even though like you excelled in high school, like doesn't mean you're gonna automatically excel here just because everything is a little bit more fast paced, especially if you go to prestigious school like this, like people are going to be smart. People aren't going to be asking questions that you have in your head. Like you have to, have the, I guess, pursuit of like asking them for yourselves rather than, for a whole class. So I think that was one thing that was like really different for me.
Yeah. Can you also share about the gymnastics side? So we kind of talked about a little bit being a freshman and coming in and how your injury kind of didn't allow you to have certain experiences. Can you talk about your whole time as a gymnast and your relationships with your team, at least with your interactions with teammates? Was it pretty easy once you kind of came in to have that relationship with all the different classes or even individuals within your team? Or was it something that you needed, time to kind of work on as time went on? And then going from being a freshman and dealing with upperclassmen, but then also being an upperclassman and working with the freshmen or sophomore, even the juniors who are younger than you.
Mhm. I think, oh, this is a good question. I think mm, I had always been somebody who likes to do things by myself. Not like everything, but especially when things get hard, I really need my space so I can, mentally be in a mindset to be coachable. So I think at first it was definitely an adjustment. I do think like moving from platinum where nobody was there to Crenshaw's to where a lot more girls were there, like it was more of a team aspect there. But obviously in college, like nothing is going to be compared to how it is in college, especially compared to club. So I think it definitely took me a little bit to understand, how are there so many girls on one team and, we're all striving for one thing and like the competitiveness of, only 6 athletes go up on an event and what do the other ones do? And, how does everyone respect each other? And how do we not have cat fights all the time? And, if something happens, like who do I go to? What do I say? Do I just go straight to the coaches or do I, talk to my teammates or so I think it was really just a freshman year, I think it was just really a time to just get adjusted to everything. I feel like I wasn't really an outspoken person just because I feel like I was just soaking up everything that I could, trying to observe everything that I could to apply it to the next 4 years of my career. So I feel like now, I guess from freshman year to now, understanding the I guess like senior grad student, junior, the upperclassmen versus the underclassmen, it's very intermixed. I feel like here at the university, I do feel like a lot of universities, I feel like it's so like upperclassmen are they know everything. You go to them for everything, and underclassmen, you guys just watch and learn. Like keep your mouth closed, all those types of things. And I don't think we're like that here. We always talk about giving everybody a voice. Like you shouldn't have to be nervous to ask a question if you're a freshman. Like you need to ask those questions because we're not going to be here long enough to, you know, let you know whatever you need to know if you never ask. So we always, make sure that everybody has a voice regardless of how old you are and your opinion matters, your voice matters. And I think now being a upperclassman, an upperclassman, I think it's easy for me to just give the freshmen everything all the lessons, all the trials and tribulations I've had, like growing up here. Just trying to feed them all of the things that I've learned. So either they don't have to go through them, trying to learn for them, or, they understand what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
So I think just trying to give them all the perspectives that I have, all of the lessons, all the experiences, all of those types of things, like genuinely does help them. And they're a great bunch of girls. They have a very bright future ahead of them. They're extremely talented. So just giving them anything I can to, ensure that their success happens is really important to me.
Yeah, that's very good. And what are your favorite events? And also, what events do you contribute to the lineup now and throughout your career?
So I okay, wait. I I love floor, and I have I think I've always really liked beam, but I have never liked beam to the I don't know, I guess the way I like it now. It's been like a learning learning experience for me just because I feel like beam was so challenging to me as, a club kid. It came easy, but I was like so sloppy all the time. Like I could stay on there and do whatever skills he wanted me to do, but I was gonna at least get like 12 tenths off just on 3 skills. So 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 I think I had always, I thought the beam was fun. I thought it was challenging, but I think here it was frustrating to me at first because I just was not a clean gymnast. I think I still have a lot of, cleaning up to do. But in college, confidence is something that you have to have or the beam will eat you up. And I think that I really excel in a way that allows me to just full confidence just out the window, fully like embody like who I am and what I do on the beam rather than like, oh my gosh, people are watching me, like I'm on TV, which is something that I feel like everybody struggles with coming into college. So I think beam floor are probably like my favorites. I am not a bar swinger. Unfortunately, never made it out of the 7-8 spot on bars. Um, vault, I really like vault. Vault has been definitely a journey for me, I think, as well. I was really bad, like so bad in club until I came to Adam and he like magically fixed my vault in like 6 months. I don't really know how he did it. But so I feel like that was when I was like, oh, okay, vault's kind of fun. Like I was before, like really, like it was just like, are you kidding me? Like I have to go to vault right now. Like I don't want to go to vault. But now it's definitely a lot more fun to, be a part of. But as of now, I am currently competing just beam. I had, some injuries and a couple of weird landings not too long ago. But I was planning on adding in vault and floor this year. Normally, for the past like 3 years, I've done beam, vault, and floor. Just this year, I've had a little minor injuries that I've had to overcome to get back into the lineup. But right now, for now, just beam.
Yeah, that's cool. And what is your highlight in regards to a competition? One, what's your highest score that you've gotten? And what is your personal highlight that you had at a competition?
Ooh. Um, my highest score, I think, is a 995 on floor. Um, I think I've received a 10 from a couple of judges on vault, but never actually a full 10. So I mean, I guess you can put that in there. I don't know. I'll hold on to that 10 for as long as I can until someone tells me it's unacceptable.
Hold on to
But
it.
I think regionals junior year in Seattle, I was on vault last or like fifth or something. And I did a vault and I had a 10 from a judge. I think I had like a 9.9 from another judge. I ended up getting like a 9.9 something. I don't know. I don't remember. But just the feeling of one, it was a really tight competition. I think we were there was four of us. I don't really know. I don't remember who was competing with us. There's four of us. We were in the top two. for the majority of the meet. We went to vault. Everyone always says that Illinois struggles on vault, whatever. I think we've had our struggles, but I think we're, getting into a genuine like competitive vault team now. And that year, our motto was hunt to kill. So we really were like, we are a freaking vault team. Like we can be up here with the big dogs. Like we're not afraid. Like don't count us out. And that was the vault where I literally like just went off. Like I did exactly what I wanted to do, like stuck the landing, was so excited. And whenever I like came back to my team, of course, like cheering, it was just like so genuine. Everyone was like crying, everyone was like so happy. And I think obviously we kind of knew from the last like two scores that we weren't going to make it to the next day, but we poured our hearts out there. Like that was what we had. And there wasn't a moment in that meet where we were like, oh, like we missed a mark there. Like we didn't hit a routine. Like everything was spot on, like just how we wanted. And of course, like that vault for me was like icing on the cake. So I think that will forever be my most memorable moment
Yeah.
here.
No, I love it. And now with the stick rule where you have to hold it, right? You got to hold it, get your heels together. You can't do the, hey, I stuck it on my tippy toes while I'm saluting.
Yeah, no college finishes
Yeah,
anymore.
cool, cool. Can you also talk about if you had, the same coaches throughout your time there? Can you talk about each one of your coaches, your relationships with them, and things that you kind of learned from each one of them? And if you had different coaches, can you even talk about that and your relationships that you had with them?
Mhm. Yeah, so I already talked a whole bunch about Natalie. So Josh, he is our like bar vault and floor coach. He doesn't really have like a set event. He kind of just like mingles around however he likes. And I think he is the most calm guy I've ever met. Like I've of course seen him, hyped up and all those types of things, but he's very, I don't even know how to describe him. Like he's just like a steady like heartbeat. Like nothing flips him, like nothing makes him like nervous, nothing surprises him. Everything is just like, yep, that's how it is, or yep, that's how it's supposed to be, or and I think having that in the gym is such a comforting feeling, just knowing that a coach trusts you enough to stand back and just watch rather than having to correct you every 5 seconds, or to put so much pressure on you to be, your potential, when he just genuinely rides with you on the little bike that you're on, trying to get you to where you want to be. So he's been honestly great. He's very patient, never like, oh, why aren't you doing this right? Like he, really tries to um help you understand your gymnastics the way that you do it rather than, just yelling at you because you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
So I think he's been such a great addition this year for our team. But yeah, just such like a steady, like calm guy, calm and cool and collected all the time. And I think he's definitely brought that to our bar team because they have changed like tremendously this year. Like they're killing it. Ross, love Ross. He is a firecracker in the gym. He's very passionate about what he does. He is very excited all the time, regardless of if it's 6 in the morning and we're at lift, or it's 6 at night, everyone's tired, we've had a full day. Like he's gonna be screaming and yelling and just excited. And I think that brings such a gratitude like type of mindset to in the gym. And I think sometimes like being an athlete, like it's rough, like having to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, then having to go to class, go to lift, go to practice, do this, go to rehab. Like your days kind of suck sometimes. And having the energy that he has like really just flips your perspective. Like dang, like I really am a D1 athlete. Like I have the opportunity to be here, I have the opportunity to do things that a lot of people can't do. And I really think that he brings that aspect into the gym, and it's great. So
Yeah, I love that. No, it's good. It's good to have coaches that, again, have that balance, right? You have a head coach who's really passionate about people. And I know that because I've worked under her in the transition time you're talking about, when, right before she left. I
yeah.
had an opportunity to be there. So you and I have a connection
Mhm.
through that, as well as, having a coach who's even keel and having a coach who's energetic, right? So you're having um, pretty much everything encompassing in one, right? And for them to be able to work together, mesh together, and kind of vibe, which is I think is super good.
Mhm.
What are some things that you really enjoy about being part of a team, being part of specifically the Illinois team, and what are the things that really give them their identity, at least from your perspective?
I think we really have so our mascot is the Fighting Illini. Natalie always talks about how we have to fight for everything and do all these types of things. And I genuinely think that we identify ourselves as just like fighters. Like obviously college is rough, things happen, and you have obstacles after obstacles, but never once are we like complaining or like, "Oh, why is this happening to me? Like, poor me." Like, there's no victim mindset in our gym, and I think that that really helps, us get to where we wanna be. I feel like for a long time, there was kind of like, um, I don't wanna say, like, victim mindset. It was kinda just like, "Oh, like, people call us the underdogs, and, we're just the underdogs, I guess." And I think now we've really starting to hone in into, like, the Fighting Illini aspect of our school, and we're gonna fight there until you tell us to stop. Like, we're gonna continue to bite at the foot until, we get kicked. Like, we're gonna fight on the beam. If we have a, rough set, like, we're not just gonna give up on it. We're gonna continue to fight for every tenth that we can because we ultimately know if something else happens down the lineup, like, it's our responsibility to make sure that it doesn't. So I think that that has really stuck with us this year. And I think we've shown that tremendously with, just the athletes that we've had come. Sorry, that's my bad.
No, you're good.
We've, of course, our freshmen have unfortunately had to deal with a lot of injuries, and I think just showing them that, hey, like just because this happens in the middle of season doesn't mean your season's over. Like you still have a whole, 3 months to, get to where you want to be, and we're gonna be right behind you, teaching you how to fight, and giving you those experiences because us upperclassmen, like we've all been through it. So I think that's something that we really strive for this year.
Yeah. Now, sometimes with, being in college, there's going to be things that you don't enjoy. We kind of talked about it in club, the
Mhm.
club part of what we were talking about, but being a student athlete, what is something that you really don't like about being a student athlete and wish it could be a little bit different if you could choose?
I think the only thing so I haven't really been in class, like in class, like because of COVID. Obviously, we had like that first COVID year. So we were in class, but like the last like 4 months, like we were all online and things got shut down and we had our COVID year and then we had the year afterwards. But I do remember I feel like sometimes like students who are just here for school like really give us a bad rap. Like I really think that, we're just like kind of hated on sometimes. I think sometimes with professors they aren't very understanding, and I think that's just because they have had a history where a student, is like, "Oh, I'm a student athlete. I should be able to get what I want, do whatever," just like kind of that like entitled type of mentality that I think may have spread evenly or like around the school. So I think sometimes whenever we do have conversations with students, it's kind of like, "Oh, you're a student athlete? Well, like you're probably entitled." I feel like that always comes with, with school, and I think it's really our responsibility to make sure that people understand that we're not entitled. We are just like really busy.
Yeah.
So, but I do think a lot of like some student athletes do kind of ride on their platform and, do not like understand it's more of like an opportunity. It's not supposed to be like all you are.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that would be like one thing that kind of is a bummer a little bit about school. But I personally haven't had any experience with that. I just have heard stories of girls on the team and stuff like that where people are just kind of being rude. But yeah.
Yeah. And can you talk about the athlete experience
Mhm.
at Illinois? What does it look like in regard to how the athletes support each other, but even just what it feels like being an athlete on campus?
Mhm. We're super close knit here. I feel like every team kind of has like there are a couple teams that they're like always around. I think for us, we really love swim and dive and softball and um, I think wrestling and obviously we have the boys team. So I think everybody kind of has like their like little community, even though everybody's schedules is crazy and of course everyone has a lot to do and everyone's traveling, everyone has different seasons. But I genuinely think that a lot of us have really good connections here. So it's really nice to like come home and receive a text from a softball player rather than just having to communicate with gymnastics all the time. So I think that's a really fun thing that we have going on here. I think there's just a bunch of resources that are honestly not used to their full potential here. I think Illinois is a prestigious school. There's plenty of opportunity, plenty of resources, and I think with the schedules that we have and all of the things that we have to do during the day, I don't think that we fully use them to how we should. And I mean, even for myself, like I know like I've plenty of opportunities I didn't take because I'm like, I just really need to lay down. I just really am so tired. So I think that's just something that has always been good here. And I think our support system that we have, like we have therapists available. And I've seen a therapist for almost 3 years now. And I think that certainly is something that everybody, like all student athletes need to take advantage of. I'm pretty sure almost 50% of the athletes here actually go to a therapist, which is actually really cool. So,
Yeah.
so I think, just those resources are, just amazing to have, be able to be utilized like by your side. So, yeah.
Yeah. And did COVID give an opportunity for you guys to really tap into that resource or at least make it something to really entertain? Just because I know with a lot of people, COVID was hard because us as humans, we need socialization. And when we
Yeah.
don't, and we can get in our own head or anything like that, or start to have start to feel the isolation or feel life in a different way, that could cause us to not know how to deal with it and process things. Can you kind of talk about, for you, if you feel comfortable, what kind of led you into wanting to go into therapy?
So it was actually my junior year. I had been going through a really rough time. Like I'd been like really sick. I had COVID, I had strep again, and I had pneumonia and I wasn't competing. And then my dad got hit by a car. Like it was just a lot, a lot of crazy things I had going on. And Natalie had been like, have you talked to anybody? Like, do you need to talk to somebody? And at first I was just like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, should I? Like, is that a good thing? Like, of course there always been, mental health people like able to help us, but I don't think I really took it seriously until I genuinely was like, okay, wait, I think I need to take this seriously.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it certainly was affecting like, my grades. I mean, they were fine, but they were, slipping in a way that I didn't really want them. And I wasn't, focused going into the gym because everything was just like, well, I'm not competing and I'm just sick and I don't really want to talk to my family because they're gonna just ask me questions that I already answered, like, all those types of things. So I think Natalie was somebody that, kind of reached out to me. And then once we had like a really traumatic, experience with my dad, Randy, our like head, uh, what is he? He's like our head medical athletic guy that we have. Yeah, I don't know what his title is.
Yeah.
He, reached out to me and he was like, hey, like we have a Christian therapist who, would love to see you if you're available. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. I'm in. So after that moment, it had just been really helpful for me just to talk to somebody who was not anywhere near me, didn't have any clue what was going on. So they could just listen to me and, give me wisdom on, what was going on in my life. And I think that's really helped me tremendously since then. So yeah,
No, and you would definitely recommend it.
for sure. 100% for everybody, regardless of if your life is crazy or not. Everybody needs it. It's
I
good.
love it. And I have two more kind of really questions for you. The first one is can you kind of help future student athletes who are looking into being a college athlete in any division? You can also talk about specifically with Division 1 since you're in Division 1. Can you kind of talk about just a recruiting process from someone who's gone through it and is an athlete, and what things they should probably do, and things that either mistakes that you made that you wouldn't want to see someone else make?
Mm. I feel like for me, it was just being like, I think all athletes should just be vulnerable, be very transparent with coaches, um, and have conversations. I feel like in looking back, I feel like now I could have had way more conversations with Natalie than I did, or with Josh, or with anybody that I was getting recruited by. And I think I just didn't wanna have the conversation with him because I was like, "Wait, I don't like, what am I supposed to say? Like, I don't like, I don't know, like, I just do gymnastics, like, I'm not," and I think it can be, like, scary, it can be intimidating, like, talking to a D1 or, D2, D3 coach, like, somebody who has that much authority over a team could potentially have that much authority over you, in your future, like, it can be very intimidating, but I strongly encourage just to have the conversations, like, break the ice, just ask them questions about their family or just so you can genuinely understand the relationship rather than just walking into it and being like, "Oh, well, she talked to me about my gymnastics." I'm like, "Okay, well, do you know her son's name? Like, do you know her? Like, do you know, what she's about or what she, has passion for? Like, will she or he genuinely care for you?" Because at the end of the day, like, I feel like a lot of students a lot of athletes just come to college like, "Oh, well, I thought she cared about me," or I thought this it was gonna go this way and, it ended up going south." And I think if you take the time, intimidated or not, to genuinely have the conversations, you will understand where you sit with, their mentality and, how they run things and how, if you like it or you don't like it. So I think that's something that should seriously be taken up, so.
Yeah. And then what are some last like tidbits that you want to give? It could be advice, it could be encouragement, it could be things that you enjoy about Illinois. I want you to kind of take this opportunity. The floor is yours to kind of share whatever thoughts you may have.
Mm. Let's see, what do I have that's good? Um, I would say for club athletes who are looking to go to college, be present in what you're doing now. Um, I think it's so easy to be caught up in, college and, who's looking at me and what am I doing and, how do I get from A to B? But at the same time, like you're at your club gym, the girls who look up to you are looking up to you for a reason. So just make sure you're giving back to your family as much as you can, even though you have exciting things going on in your future. And to college students, uh, I would say understand that even though you do gymnastics, gymnastics is not your identity. Um, be like, just live in the moment, live and be present. Don't allow silly little falls on beam or going out of bounds on vault or not vault, on floor. Taking too many hops on vault, like destroy the confidence that you have built up for yourself because you're not just a gymnast, you're a person who has uh, years and years and years of, life still left to live. And gymnastics, college gymnastics is just a tiny bit of who you are and something that you did growing up. And I don't think that we should put so much pressure on ourselves to achieve all these big, huge dreams and goals. It's okay if you don't reach the goals that you want. I personally didn't. I mean, I'm still doing gymnastics, but there are some goals where, I surpassed. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean that I'm gonna be a doesn't mean I'm a failure. Doesn't mean I did terrible here. It doesn't mean that I didn't do anything. It doesn't mean that I'm a nobody in college gymnastics. Like I am, I still am. But it also doesn't make me just because I didn't reach those goals or just because I didn't fulfill my potential how I could have or how I should have doesn't mean that I shouldn't have been here doing whatever. Like I still have a whole 70 years to live my life and, fulfill and impact and just create a difference in this world. So that would
Yeah.
be my.
Mia, I love having you on and hearing your perspective and hearing how mature, you kind of talk about things and, and speaking your truth. I think those things are super important. And to have a platform to hear from you guys as the student athletes. And you guys, we see what you guys can do on TV, on the apparatus, on the gymnastics competition floor, but we don't always get to hear, who the person is behind it, right? And I think having that connection between the person, I think will allow, people who are watching you to have a greater appreciation for what you do because they enjoy who you are as a person. They think Mia's awesome, or they may think, Mia's not awesome, but they still tune in, right? But I think in this conversation, them getting to learn a little bit more about you, but also, the team that you ultimately picked and hopefully helping someone who's looking into Illinois feel a little bit better about the decision that they're making to go there, or even to consider going there. So thank you again for being a part of the podcast, and thank you everybody else for tuning in. I'm excited to do more of these. Thank you again for Mia for joining the podcast. Remember to subscribe, to leave a comment, to like, also to share. We'll be sending more of these out or having more of these conversations out. So keep tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.